Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Fragments of Memory one more time. And this is another episode of Armchair Philosophy 101. Now I'm gonna call this one Don't Spit Up in the Air or People in Glass Houses, I don't know which, but I'm responding to the whole Eddie Long thing. I myself am not a churchgoer, but being a black man in America, every black person who's familiar with Christianity knows who Eddie Long is. I mean, he's right up there with Creflo Dollar. He's got that TD Jakes personality. And now we're finding out that he's involved in this sex scandal. He's got the whole, he coerced some 16, 17-year-old boys to do him sexual favors, and he sent them pictures of him in a muscle shirt, flexing and everything. And he was taking them on trips, having them and doing sexual things. I even heard that he prevented them from having girlfriends, and they was in a special secret type of spiritual covenant. Now, someone that's not a Christian, it just fascinates me that this man, this so-called man of God, has gotten implicated in what he's done. But this is nothing new. I remember being a little kid, and I remember Jimmy Swaggart being everywhere. And then Jimmy Swaggart was on TV one day crying, and it turned out that, or I found out much later, that he was caught with a prostitute. Yet he even wrote books attacking fornication and adultery. And here he is getting busted for it. So I I feel bad that he was in that way of life and trying to represent the Bible and Christianity and all of the principles that they have. And I hope that he gets the help he needs. But I can't help but laugh. It's like, okay, this man used to preach against homosexuality. This man preached it. He shouted it from his pulpit. He probably went on TV to talk against gays and gay marriage. And here he is engaging in the act himself. Takes me back to Ted Haggard, the man that got a male prostitute and even was supposedly taking meth. I mean, wow. And I'm not really here to judge anybody. I'm not really here to bring down the hammer of, haha, I told you so. It's just that as I look on the news and I see the people that favor Christianity saying, oh, the Muslims are taking over because the Muslims are bringing some sort of change in way of life to our country. But then this person over here is engaged in gay sex or engaged in straight sex, but outside of the confines of marriage. This person is ripping off the congregation financially. Yet it seems no one speaks to that. They speak to the other cultures. They speak to what's going wrong in other places, but no one wants to clean house. And that's something that I think amazes me is that it's very easy to want to examine someone else's life and pick out all the bad they're doing. But then we don't really examine ourselves. We don't really go into our house. We don't really go into our place of worship or our personal inner man, our inner self, and find out, am I guilty of these things? Am I doing the evil? Am I doing the wrong? And it goes back to another video I did about we're quick to see others as the offender, but we're not quick to see ourselves as the offender. And that's a lesson I'm personally learning the hard way. Well, I also just wanna just throw it out there that if you are gay or lesbian or bisexual or transgender, I'm not really here to belittle you. I'm not really here to attack you about anything. I just want to point out that if you are going to be one way, stand on that. If you're going to be another way, stand on that. But don't try to do both. Like if you are gay or lesbian or bisexual or transgender, don't say, I'm going to go to church and read the Bible, even though there are many verses in the Bible that preach against your lifestyle. Whether you feel it's by birth, whether you feel it's through certain incidents in your life or whatever, that's something that doesn't jibe with the Christian teachings or the biblical text. So I figure if you are homosexual or lesbian, I say go be a pagan, go be something that doesn't involve the church. Don't try to make the theology fit what you're trying to do in your life. Or get rid of that lifestyle which you are involved in. And again, not trying to to dump on gay people or anything like that. I just want to make that point that I have noticed this phenomena of the so-called down low syndrome in the church, especially in the black church. And I think it's interesting now. I'm hearing this thing on YouTube and around about how Atlanta's the gay capital now. You have a lot of openly lesbian or homosexual folk down in Atlanta, or there is a more supportive environment for the homosexual and lesbian community. Never been to Atlanta. I mean, I'm straight Midwest. I'm St. Louis, so I don't know what's goes down. I don't know what's going down in the dirty South, as it were. Um, Another thing, I also think that if you are going to be gay or lesbian or whatever, don't try to play the role of the other gender. Like if you're a lesbian, don't dress up like a guy. If you like women, just like women and be that way. Don't dress up like a guy. Because I find it interesting that gays and lesbians, like a lesbian, I saw a lesbian couple. One girl was very feminine, and then the other girl was very masculine. She had her pants sagging. She was wearing some Tims. She had her, she had the hat backwards. She was looking like a straight up gangster thug, but she was still a female. And my thing is, to that woman that was feminine, why would she pick this person that's trying to portray herself as a man? Then actually, if she was going to do that, why didn't she just go ahead and get with a man? But then again, what do I know? Or the vice versa. You have this real effeminate man who's switching, who's probably wearing lip gloss or probably trying to appear more female or feminine, and yet he goes after a man, or a man goes after him. I'm kind of going, why do that? Why not just get a dude? Why not just be with a woman? Excuse me. Why not just be with that female instead of trying to be with the same gender but trying to play the role of the opposite? But then again, that's just an aside note. Again, back to Bishop Eddie Long. I mean, whoa. I can really just say I'm shaking my head. I mean, yes, we've had many scandals. I mean, Jimmy Swaggart, Robert Tilton, Jim Baker, the list goes on. I mean, those guys were caught up in either a financial or a sexual scandal. And I know that Joyce Meyer has been under scrutiny. Joyce Meyer Ministries has been under scrutiny for a lot of things. So the televangelist, especially, they do live an affluent lifestyle. They are well paid, well known. They have fame, they have fortune. But yet, that doesn't save them when they mess up. That doesn't help them. Because even if someone is living wrong, even if someone is living incorrectly, I think that we still expect a person to be who they say they are. I think deep down, we know what the right thing is. We know that if one presents themselves as a righteous being, we know that righteousness is righteousness, right is right, wrong is wrong, and all the moral relativism is out the door. It's out the door. Don't let anybody tell you differently. At least that's how I see it. And a lot of people forget that we still expect that righteous, moral, ethical framework. We need that framework. We as human beings need that type of foundation, that type of discipline, that type of structure. And I think we've gone away from that when people say, oh, do what you want to do. As long as you don't hurt anybody, you can just go ahead and do what you want to do. And that's not always true. You can't always do what you want to do. To take a quote from a great philosopher, his name was Stan Lee, and he created a character called Spider-Man. And in the very first Spider-Man adventure, the lesson of the tale was, with great power comes great responsibility. So just Eddie Long is that person that's a minister that holds sway over the people and is a spiritual leader. So that's his power. And now comes the responsibility of, well, not having sex with your congregants or not trying to use them for your sexual desires. This is why you got a wife. This is why you got married. But that's neither here nor there. Again, this whole incident is more like a train wreck. You don't want to look at it, but you can't turn away because, man, this is entertaining. But